everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this double journal, and I am doing this as a design team project for Carolyn Musings. I'm using her August devotional kit, which is from Conflict to Calm, and also I'm using some papers and fussy cuts from her new Grace in the Fire kit. So we are going to be constructing this double journal. This is one side of the front. Here's the edge where you see there's two journals put together, and then here is the other side. And so what I'm going to do is show you how I construct this, and then we're going to do lots of fun stuff and some new projects that I've come up with to add to this journal. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create the base of the double journal. So you're going to need some kind of sturdy cardstock. This is probably a little bit more than 65 pounds, but we're going to be adding cardstock on top when I go to do the decorating process. So you are going to need two pieces that are 6.5 by 8.5. So we're at 8.5 here. So we're going to cut this to 6.5, and you're going to need two pieces. So there's the two pieces. Then you're going to need two pieces that are 4 3/8 by 8.5. And these are almost exactly the right size. So we're just going to take these other ends, cut them down, to 4 3/8. Got a little problem here with my trimmer. There we go. Okay, so 4 3/8. So two of those. So we'll take this other piece and do the same thing. 4 3/8. And then you're going to need one piece that is 6 inches by 8.5. So I have an extra piece here. So 6. On the 6-inch piece by 8.5, you don't do any scoring. So we're just going to set that one aside. And then on the two pieces that are 4 3/8 by 8.5, you are going to score at 1/2 and 1 inch. So it's a pretty simple process for this. So 1/2 and 1 inch. And you're going to do two of those. And then the last two pieces, which are your 6.5 by 8.5, you're going to also score at 1/2 and 1 inch. Just on one side of the 6.5 inch side. Now we're just going to score, burnish all the folds. So and then you have your main piece, which has no scoring. So the way you put this together is you take your back piece here, and you're going to glue this piece on top here, and then you're going to glue this piece on the other side, and that's going to be the come over for the closure. So all we're going to do is add glue. And before I do that, I do want to miter all my tabs. So this part is going to be your tab, your first score line. So just take off a little bit on the corner, and let's just go ahead and do this one as well. And then we will add the glue. And then going to line it up right to the edge of your paper on the base and press that down. Then you're going to take this side and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to add the glue. So this becomes the first side of the journal, like that. Now we're going to turn it over and we are going to put this one right next to this. So you're going to end up having like a double spine right here. So you're going to miter the corners. Add the glue. And then we're going to line it up with this edge. Right? Like that. Press that down. And that becomes this side of the journal. And you end up having, let me get this lined up again. You end up having a double spine like this. And then you're going to have also a double spine on this side. So you're going to take this one so it goes like that. So you have double spine here and a double spine here. And then we're going to be reinforcing this because we'll be adding papers, so it's going to get stronger. So right now it doesn't look, like it's very sturdy. But once we get done adding the papers and putting the journals in, it will definitely be sturdy. And so you have a closure this way and a closure this way. Okay, so now that we've made the base, let me show you what I've come up with. And I've already done one side of the journal, but I'm going to do the second side of the journal with you. So here's what I came up with for the front of the first side of the journal. And so what I did is I took some of the paper pack from Grace in the Fire kit because it goes so well with this. And I covered the outside and the inside of the journal. So let me just show you real quickly. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Now I did a cutout on one of the pages, and I also used a die to cut this out. And then I did add some resin, so you can see that. And I also add some of the gold flake. You see Vanessa use that a lot. I love that stuff, but it is really messy, like she said. But I love the effect of it. So I put that here on the flowers and stuff. So then on the inside, now this is with a magnet this time. I think the magnets work much better than the closures that I tried to do on my last project. So I love this Teletestai. It is finished. And that is what the Lord said on the cross. Okay, so here I failed to put the magnets on before I covered this inside. So what I did is I added some of the pieces of ephemera. Now this comes from the Grace in the Fire Fussy Cuts, and I just love it. I added one of these gold. They're actually for the inside of flowers, but they work so well for butterflies, and I've had these for years. So I'm trying to dig out some things that I haven't used in a while. So here we have two of these scriptures. One is Psalm 107:29. He maketh the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. And this one, Exodus 3:5. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground. So then on the inside, I have made two envelopes and added a whole bunch of the word cutouts. So I just put them in here for now. And then I have placed some things where I think I'm going to be putting stuff inside the signature, which I'll put in. But what I want to show you is this on this side. So let me see if I can get some of that glare off. So what I've done is I've taken this, which is a flip out that comes in the kit, and I have turned it into a window and butterflies coming out. So some of the butterflies underneath the acetate, and then one each on top of the acetate. So I'm going to show you how I did this. And I wanted to make sure I could do it before I actually went down this path. So I had this idea in my head and I was able to get it out of my head. So I'm going to show you how to create this. And we're going to do that on the other side. So I have some things cut for the outside of this. So I have these. And I took another page that had this bird on it. And so I've inked everything up. I have been using the Faded Jeans Distress Oxide. I really like it. It's perfect color for this. And so I have inked all of the edges with this. So what I want to do is glue this down. And I haven't really, and here's my magnet. So I've used 3 magnets and 3 on this side. And this side I did the same thing. I had covered all this before I even decided on magnets, so think about that before you actually cover. But I was able to cover it with some of the 1-inch circles from the kit, couple of the Sentiment Faith-Filled Footsteps and Anointed for Purpose, and one of the butterflies here. So that's what I did to cover up the magnets, and everything works really nicely. So 3 is my recommendation. So what I want to do now is glue this piece onto here. So here, I want to put this one here, and it kind of matches up, but it's okay. We could put Wait Upon the Lord here, and I'm thinking I want the bird to kind of be peeking out. And I don't think I'm going to pop it up at all. And I haven't decided if I am going to use any resin. I don't think so on this side, but we'll see. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. All right, so that is for the cover, and the inside I've already done. So I didn't want to waste a whole lot of time, except that I do want to add these strips right here. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to move on to that window. Okay, so we have that done. All right, so now let's move on, and let me show you what to do with this piece. So what I have is some acetate, and I want to cut this piece down just a tad. So the other one, I cut it down, I believe, to 5 1/4. Yes. So I'm going to cut it on this side. So this flap is going off along with a little bit more of the piece. So cut that off. And then I'm going to go ahead and re-ink that edge. So the next thing you want to do is have strips that are 3/4 of an inch wide, and you're going to need 2 that are 4 3/4 and 2 that are 8 1/4. And then I have taken my scoreboard right here, and I have scored 1/4, 1/4 on all 4 pieces. So now we're going to take them all, fold them, and burnish them down. Now the next thing that I did, I had to figure this out because I needed some stability on the inside, because if I just were to glue this on and try to put it down, you would get, it would not be stable this way. So what I did is I have this puff tape, and this puff tape happens to be 1/4 inch. So it was just perfect. So what I did is I laid puff tape in the center of those fold lines. And try to get that as close as you can to those fold lines as possible. Scissors are getting sticky. And I needed 2 layers to give it that stability. So I peeled off and laid another layer on top. And I did that on all 4 pieces. And then do not take the covering off of the top piece at all. Just leave that as is. Okay, so now that we have all of these done, and again, leave the backing on this top because it's just for stability. This was the best way I could come up with something instead of layers and layers of paper. So the next thing you want to do is take your piece like this, and you're going to be gluing these right to the edge of your piece. So I'm just going to be using art glitter glue. Add the glue here on one of the sides. And then you want to make sure that you have this flat piece here, and then just line this up right to the edge of your window. And just take your time with this. You want to make sure that it's lined up good and that it stays good. And having that stability there with that tape really does help. It gives us that sturdiness. So I'm able to actually push pretty good on this. So now we have one side. That's what it looks like. And we're going to go ahead and do the other long side and do the same thing. And something else you might want to consider. Now, the first one I did, I added some strips of paper because you will see the little bit here on the corner. But in reality, you can actually just use washi tape. And this actually is perfect because it's a 1/2 inch. So I was able to cover the whole length all the way around where you couldn't see the tape on these corners. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with these. So see here, you're going to have these little things peeking out. That's what we're going to use the washi tape for. If you don't have washi tape, just cut strips of paper. Okay, so we have all of them down. Oh, I am going to use glue on the washi as well because this one really isn't that sticky. So I'm just going to cut a piece that's a little bit longer, and then I'm going to add glue right here. so that it sticks. And I'm going to pull in these sides. I'm going to add some glue here and on this side. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And then we're going to take the washi. Let me just lay it down. I think it's easier to get it started. And you want to go over the corners. So you want to hold those together and then press this down. Just right to the edge. Again, just take your time on this. You just want to cover it just so that it looks nice. That's all I'm doing here. And if paper works better for you, you don't have washi, then by all means do that. It just takes a little bit more effort. Now I'm going to cut a little slit on each corner so that I can also glue it down back here. So I'm going to add some glue right here in the corner, and we'll glue this piece down. Same on this side, and you're bringing those pieces together. So you've got, this side isn't quite as long for me to do that, but I'm going to add my glue again and then fold over the washi and make that corner. Just like that. And then just press it down really good. So now you have where you're not seeing any of that tape. I'm trying to think of the word here. Any of the tape. Just make sure that you hold down those corners a little bit. Make sure that they really hold well. And I went around the whole thing initially, but quite honestly, you don't need to. So this time, all I'm going to do is the top and the bottom. Okay, so now we have what we've built up, which is 1/4 inch, so it's higher. And now we're going to go ahead and add in our acetate. So the acetate I had already pre-cut ahead of time, so it would just fit inside. So turn this over. So we're just going to glue the acetate right there. So let's take our journal now, open it up. I got stuff everywhere here. If you're like me, my desk is always a mess when I'm working. And this is going to end up going right here. But before we do that, what I have done is I have taken the fussy cuts from Grace in the Fire, and I printed 3 pages of each. I did reduce them down a little bit, so I'd have some smaller ones. So what I want to do is pop up 2 underneath and then 1 that comes out the top. So let me show you what I did. I've already got these all inked, and I do want to use those stems. So I have a couple of those stems here, and they're gold. And all I did was I took a little bit of double-sided tape, put it underneath so my stems were crossed like this, and then I just put it on the very bottom one. So this is the bottom butterfly, so it's going to have the stems. So let me do the second one on the small one. So now we've got our 2 base butterflies. So I want to see kind of where these are going to go. So let's put one here going that way. And then the small one we'll put down here going that way. So that looks pretty good. Then what I did is I took some mounting tape. So I just cut some pieces of mounting tape. Okay, so let's get them rearranged again. I think that's good. So right here, I'm going to just peel off the backing, put our first butterfly down on the large one, and now we'll do the same thing for the small one. Let's just give it another check. Perfect. And then we're going to take one more of these and layer it right on top. And that gives it a 3D effect. And you don't need to put the stems on all the butterflies, because then they would just not look right. And then this is going to go on here just like that. And then the plan is I'm going to put a little bit of resin on these, which I'll show you, and then they're going to go on the top. So before we do that, we are going to go ahead and glue this piece down. Quarter-inch double-sided tape, put it on the inside in that trough. That gives us that stability that we need right here. So there we have it. And then the top two pieces, butterflies, we'll be putting some resin on, and then they will be going on top here. So it's like they're spilling out of that oval window. So we'll do that in a little bit. I want to show you a couple other things. So that is this one. And then one more thing I want to show you that I changed a little bit from Carolyn's kit. And she has these little window tags. And so you would take the small card, add the acetate, which I've already done, and then you would just glue it down. Well, I got an idea to make it into a hidden paper clip. So all I did was cut another piece that would go inside. So a little smaller, and then it'll be cut a little bit to come around this part here at the top. So all you need to do with this piece is, so it's about 1 1/4 by 4 3/8. And then I'm just going to fold it in half, just like that. And then I'm going to add the paper clip. And then I want to put it in here so I can see how much I need to trim off. So I need to take a little bit off the bottom and here on both sides. So I'll just take my scissors and cut a little bit here. And then all I'm going to do is cut angles. So it kind of looks like a tag when you're done. Let's see if that's enough. And that gets hidden in there. And then we're going to take this and position it. So put your paper clip in and then get your card positioned in the window, just like this. And then I'm going to glue this baby down. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my signature in. So I'm gonna go from the inside out, back in, and then open to the center. I have some pieces inside here. I'm trying to be careful because I've kind of set them where I think they're going to go. And then I'm going to cinch it down. Double knot. And then you can cut off the excess. I hadn't cut off the others yet. And that goes in there. Okay, so we have done the front. We have created our window, which we're going to finish up, and added the elastic. So that is so far our journal. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and just, oh, I have one more thing to show you. Okay, so this comes in two separate pieces. So you have this one, and I think it just folds in half. And then you have this one. So what I did before I cut this out, I left a flap on each side of this one. And then I glued it together like an accordion. You kind of see it there. And I thought it would be fun to glue that right down here on this note page, because then it could be opened up all the way to write, plus you have writing space right here. And I didn't ink any of the back. I just wanted it to just kind of flow. So what I'm going to do is add some glue to the back of this. Could be just out like this, and then it could come out further. And then you've got writing here and writing here plus writing here. So that was that fun one that I decided to do. Let's see. Oh, I did add an envelope. So I thought I would tuck some of these, because there was plenty of these and I couldn't put them in all the other envelopes. So I thought I would tuck some of these in here, because there's a whole bunch of these awesome things you can use as you're going through your study, and glue them in different areas or tuck them in different areas in your devotional journal. So I thought on this one I would just tuck those in there. And back here I thought I would add a couple of pockets. So we have this one with this on top that I thought we could put there. And then I have this one, and I thought I could put it there. And then we have some tags. So let's just tuck in some various tags that we have here. Oh, they'll peek out a little bit out the top. That's okay. And let's see. Ooh, I love this. Show me your ways. There's a song that talk about that too that we sing in church. Oh, let's put it up here on this one. Okay, so there we have pockets. And I think we'll just put one of these cards. In the land of waiting, he fled the place where passions burned, where justice stirred, but trust was spurned. Alone he walked a desert road, a heart once bold, now bowed and slowed. By wells unknown he found a place where mercy met him face to face, a shepherd's staff that replaced the sword, as silence taught him of the Lord. In hidden years God shaped the clay, preparing him for future day. For even in the driest land, grace writes the story with his hand. So I'm going to just tuck that in there. But on this side, I have a couple things. So I think this has this pocket that matches. So let's glue that down. And if you're going to make one of these and you see maybe you want to add more things to it, you might want to consider doing the spine a little bit larger. Oops, get that lined up. And then I'm going to put this pocket here. So yeah, just increase your width of your spine. So if you need it a little bit more, make it 3/4 of an inch. You can still do the same on this window project that I showed you. And then I'm just going to glue this flap down on this note page. And then that way it would give more place to write. And then we're going to, I am who I am. I'm going to tuck that there. And I think I'm just going to tuck a couple of these tags in here. And then let's see if I have anything else. Okay, I'm going to add this pocket to this envelope. So let's do that. And then we're going to resin our butterflies. And then I'll do a final flip through. I think I will add this card. What does this one say? Where your treasure is, not in a gold that fades away, nor treasures time and moths betray, but in the heights where heaven gleams, I'll store my hopes, my heart, my dreams. The eye must shine with single light, to walk by faith and not by sight. For where my gaze and longing dwell, there lies the truth I know too well. No two can rule the soul inside. One must be served, the other denied. So let my riches rise above, stored safe within my Savior's love. Beautiful. And then we can add, there's some other sentiments here. We can just tuck in here. I don't think I have any other pockets I was going to add, because I don't want it to get too bulky. So I'm going to go ahead and just tuck in these pieces in here. And we have a few more cards. So I'm going to just tuck these in here. And then close it up. Okay, so the butterflies. Oh, and we have our 3 hidden paper clips that we're going to put inside here. And I'll show you where I do that in the flip through. So for these, we're going to do the resin. So let me just get my UV light set up. And then we'll do the resin. So all I'm going to do is add some resin just to give some depth. So here I'm just going to add to the body. Whoops. Right here. And then I'm going to come out and just do some of this lace. It looks like jean material right here and here. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just something that's going to give it a little extra depth. So there's that one. This one I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to capture the center, the body, and then this part right here. So now we'll go ahead and put these under the UV light. And I set this one for 90 seconds, because I think that would be enough. So we got it. There we go. Okay, so our resin is cured. You could see that. And this one. All I'm going to do is peel off the backing and then line this up again to our other butterflies under the window. Like that. And this one. Like that. And now you got that 3D effect, and it looks like it's spilling out the window. Okay, so let's do a final flip through on this gorgeous double journal using Carolyns kits. So here on this side, I shared a little bit when we began all the construction on adding papers and stuff, but I did cut out this piece. I popped it up. I did add resin. And I also added some gold flake. You see Vanessa using it a lot. I love it. And like she said, it is very messy, but I do love the outcome of it. So I popped this up. I added this. I cut it out with a die from the papers in the kit. Telestai. It is finished. I love that. So these papers, the background papers that I've used on all the outside and the inside of the journal is the vertical paper pack from Grace in the Fire. Goes well with this kit, and so that's what I've done. So I've also used magnet closures, and I've used 3 because this kit's to be pretty chunky, and so I want to make sure it's sturdy enough to hold it down. If it becomes too full, then you can always consider putting a ribbon around it to hold it, or maybe adding an additional magnet. So I used 3. You probably could use 4. So let's open it up. So I had explained when I was creating, just doing some of the work inside here, that I had forgot to put the magnets down before I put the paper down. So I just covered them up with this and added these pieces here. And then we'll open it up. Now this is the window that I showed you how to make. And this is the one I did off camera, and I added this, the Lord is near. And probably we'll add something on the other side, I just haven't yet. I showed you how to turn these into a hidden paper clip. And these are just little window tags. So we created these, changed a little bit just by adding a piece of paper on the inside, folded, and then we made it into a hidden paper clip. So these are popped up on the outside of the acetate, and I showed you how we created the whole base of this. And then I'll just flip through the pages here so you can see the pages in the kit. I also added an envelope, and you could always glue this down. I didn't do anything with this, but you know, I might go, if I go through the study, there's lots of sentiments and labels like this that you could add, you know, as on this flap. So I'll just flip through here. I added some extra writing pages. Now this I added here on one of the notes pages. Added this card in this pocket in the back, and then added the matching pocket and added these 2 tags. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. And this one says, great is the Lord and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. And then there's additional writing space. Shield of Faith, love that. And more writing. And then in the center is Quiet Time Reflections. And I did not cut off these, so let's do that real quick. And these are all put in with gold elastic. And I just did all the pages as much as I could. And some of the pages that would be for a normal cover, if you want to use them, that's what I used for some of the decoration on the fronts of both sides of this journal. And then I added the extra ephemera and extra labels here in the back in this envelope. And I added a pocket and added this card here. And I talked about this during the construction. More writing space. And then here I just took some of the paper and I made 2 envelopes to hold a lot. You can see how many labels are here. There's lots of them. So I packed a bunch of them in here. And that is the first side of our journal. Flip it over. And on this side we did this together. So I cut this out with a die. And I also fussy cut this bird out. And I did not pop it up on this side because it was bulky as it was, and it would cause a problem for the magnet. So I just laid the bird flat. If it was on this side, I would have considered popping it up. So again, I added the papers, and here I covered up the magnets again because I had done that on both sides. Added a butterfly with some of these stem centers that I have in my stash. I just absolutely love all the colors, and I had the perfect color of cardstock to use. Here is the window we did together, and where we had just done the resin and added those on. Now these front pages on this side and the other side, they do come from the Grace and the Fire kit, and I wanted something that would start the beginning of the journal. And so I used 2 different papers of that, and I used them for the fronts of each journal, because if not, it would start with this, and I wanted something fun. Have a hidden paper clip here, and then I'll just go through the pages again. They're pretty much like the other side. It's just they have different things on them. More writing space, envelope. I love this with the hands. Carolyn is amazing with her creations. And then this is where I showed you how I took the 2 pieces and made them into one, where it would open up all the way. Lots of writing space here, here, and also here. Show me your ways. Just absolutely love this kit. More writing space, and then here, prayer requests are in the center. Whoops. Oh, that's right. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous journal. I hope you guys give this a try. It may look a little complicated, but really the construction of it is fairly easy. And then adding the extra things to the front with the window and stuff, that was so fun. So in this envelope, I just added the extra sentiments and labels in here that you can use throughout the journal. I didn't put any decoration there. Trying to keep it as minimal as possible. Pocket here, and then this card. And I did read this to you during the construction when I added this. And then here we just added the 2 pockets with extra tags. Ambassador of Christ. Love these. And then here, hope. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. And then this one, show me your ways. Whoops, let me come down a little bit. I didn't realize I was too high up for you to see. You will absolutely love this kit. And then this is the back of the paper that I used from the other kit. And that concludes the double journal for Carolyn Musings Design Team Project, using From Conflict to Calm, August devotional kit, along with Grace and the Fire papers and fussy cuts in there. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you give it a try. Make sure you post something if you belong to One Way Journals Facebook group. That's Carolyn's group. And if you're on there, I would love to see what you create. I would love to see whoever would like to try this double journal. It really is a lot of fun. And you have your whole devotional right here, but you have lots of space to do writing and everything else you want to do inside of it. Okay. So again, this is a design team project for Carolyn Musings. So you can find her on Facebook, Carolyn Musings, One Way Journals, Facebook group and on Etsy. I will link the kits below for you, and hopefully we'll get to see some of your beautiful creations. All right, guys, we'll see you at the next video, and God bless you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.